You've been told your entire life that you're just another player in a game that you can't control. You've been made to believe that you're insignificant, that your life is nothing more than a series of moves dictated by others, that you are just another piece in the puzzle, nothing special, nothing to make you stand out. But listen closely, because this is where it all changes. This is where the truth shatters the lies you've been fed. You may feel like a pawn, moving in endless circles, boxed in by invisible walls, your every action monitored, your every decision preordained. The world has convinced you that your existence is confined to these borders, small, weak, unnoticed. You've been ignored, disrespected, underestimated, your potential wasted, because the world sees you as just another player, not realizing you're capable of so much more. You've been drowning in this sea of apathy, surrounded by others who have swallowed the same story, trapped in the same cycle. But now it's time to break free. What if everything you've been told was a lie? What if you were never meant to be just another player, but instead the one who dictates the rule? What if the strength you've always carried within you was just waiting for the right moment to explode? You've been living in the shadows, invisible to the world, just another piece on a chessboard. But I'm telling you, you were never meant to be that pawn. You were always the kings or queen of this game, only you didn't know it yet. You have the power to shift the entire game in your favor. The pieces around you, those who thought you were just another player, they have no idea what you're capable of. They've been playing their game, thinking they control you, thinking they can keep you down, but they've made the mistake of underestimating you. You've always been more. You've always had what it takes to rise above the noise, to show the world that you're not just another pawn, but the force that changes everything. You've been invisible, yes, but that doesn't mean you're powerless. It means you've been quietly gathering strength, waiting for the moment when you step out of the shadows and claim the power that's been yours all along. They thought you were just like everyone else, another player they could manipulate, another piece that would fall in line. But they didn't realize what they were up against. They didn't see the fire that burns inside of you, the unstoppable drive that's been waiting for the moment when you take control. You are not just a piece in their game. You are the one who changes the rule. And now is the time to show them that you've been more than they could ever imagine. The time to take your place at the top of this game, to control the board, to finally step into your power. You were never in control, were you? Your life, your decisions, everything seemed to be shaped by forces beyond your reach, forces you couldn't see or touch, yet they held you down, controlled you. Society told you how to act, how to speak, how to think, and you follow. Your every move was calculated for you, like a puppet on string, dancing to a tune you didn't choose. Fear came in many forms. Fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of being overlooked, misunderstood, or abandoned. These fears didn't just pop up in the quiet corners of your mind. They were planted there. External forces, like a cruel hand, pressed down on you every day, telling you to be small, to be quiet, to be like everyone else, to not disrupt the status quo. It wasn't just your family telling you what to do. It wasn't just your friends dismissing your ideas. It was the world, the system, society, all of it, making you feel like you were nothing more than another insignificant player in a game with no end, no hope, no chance. They tried to break you. They tried to make you feel like you were never enough, that your voice didn't matter, that your struggles were insignificant, that your dreams were impossible. They tried to convince you that you had no place in the spotlight, that you weren't worthy of greatness. But the truth is, they weren't playing the same game. They had no idea what you could become. Your loss of power wasn't just circumstantial. It was an illusion. The game wasn't about you being weak. The game was about them convincing you that you were powerless. You were led to believe that the odds were stacked against you, that you were destined to fall short, that you could never break free. But listen to me. The world didn't want you to see your potential. It didn't want you to believe that you could change the game. The struggle you felt, the doubt, the confusion, it was never a reflection of your worth. It was a reflection of the system's attempt to keep you in check. I am not enough. I'll never make it. I was never meant to win. These lies became the chains that held you down, and for a long time, you believed them. You wore them like armor, believing that they kept you safe, that they kept you small enough to avoid disappointment. You told yourself you weren't good enough to be successful, to be loved, to be noticed. You looked at the world and saw others who had everything you didn't: the job, the partner, the recognition, the success, and you wondered, why not me? Those thoughts, those lies, became your reality. Every time you tried to take a step forward, you were met with the weight of your own self-doubt. Every time you tried to dream bigger, you were pulled back by the harsh voice inside your head that told you, you'll never make it. You were your own worst enemy, trapped by your beliefs. Your dreams felt too big, your goals too far out of reach, and you began to wonder if they were even worth chasing. Was it worth the pain, the risk? Would the world even notice you? Let me take you back for a moment. Back to when you felt like you had nothing left. The time when you were alone in your struggles, when everyone else seemed to be winning while you were stuck in place. Maybe it was a moment of failure, an opportunity that passed you by, a dream you abandoned because it felt too distant. Remember the weight of that feeling, the despair that followed, the hopelessness that consumed you. The failure became your identity. You wore it like a scar, thinking it was the only thing you could claim, and in that moment, the lie became your truth. But that moment, that painful chapter, was not the end. No, it was just one page in your story, one lesson in a book you haven't finished writing yet. The truth is, you weren't born to be a pawn. You were born to challenge the game, to break the cycle of defeat. But first, you had to see through the lies you had been told. You had to let go of the belief that you were anything less than extraordinary. Others played their part in shaping your self-doubt, didn't they? Family, well-meaning as they were, told you to play it safe. Friends told you to stop dreaming, to stop reaching, to just settle for what was in front of you. They didn't know what they were doing. They didn't understand the fire inside you, the potential you carried. But still their voices became another weight around your neck. They told you what you couldn't do. They showed you what you weren't. And you listened. The world's expectations became your prison. Society told you there were limits to your abilities, that you couldn't rise above your station, that you were too small, too insignificant to ever change the game. And you believed them. But others' limitations are not yours. Just because they couldn't see your greatness didn't mean it wasn't there. The people who doubted you, they were playing their own game, a game built on their own limitations. But you are not them. You are not bound by their rule. Your destiny is your own. The weight of it all, the doubt, the loneliness, the uncertainty, it became unbearable, didn't it? There were nights when you felt like you couldn't breathe, like the world was too much. The suffocating pressure of expectations, the crushing force of failure. You felt stuck, like you were running in circles, trying to get somewhere but never getting any closer to your goal. You felt like you were trapped in your own thoughts, in your own fears, in your own doubts. Every step forward felt like a step backward. Every new challenge felt like a reminder that you were too weak, too small, too insignificant to make a difference. The despair was real. It was raw. It was the kind of pain that sunk deep into your soul and made you question everything. And in those darkest moments, you couldn't see the light. You couldn't see the way out. It felt like the walls were closing in, like you were locked in a cage of your own making. But let me remind you, you are not your despair. It doesn't define you. The darkness may have clouded your vision, but it was never the truth. You can break free. You will break free. You've spent your life thinking you were just another player, moving through the motion, reacting to what others threw your way. But what if I told you the entire game has been rigged? You've been following someone else's rules, playing by a script written for you, stuck in patterns that didn't belong to you. You've been controlled by expectations, by fears, by doubts, and you didn't even realize it. You didn't see it, but everything you've experienced, the struggles, the failures, the pain, has been preparing you for this moment. The moment when you wake up and realize you've been playing the wrong game. The rules that you thought were set in stone were never yours to follow. The expectations placed on you, they were never your own desires. The struggles you faced, they weren't meant to break you. They were meant to forge you. It's like a sword in the fire, battered and beaten, but the heat makes it stronger. You thought those hardships were meant to defeat you, but they were only the building blocks of your true strength. Pain doesn't just hurt, it transforms. The weight of the world doesn't crush you. It sculpts you into something more powerful than you ever imagined. Imagine a tree growing through concrete, its roots cracking the pavement beneath. That's you. Every struggle, every betrayal, every painful moment was the soil that nourished you, and you grew stronger, wiser, sharper. Your pain was never a sign of weakness. It was the process of growth, the painful but necessary part of your evolution. A diamond is only formed under intense pressure. Your hardships were the pressure. They were the crucible that turned you from ordinary to extraordinary. When you look back at all those dark moments, do you see weakness or do you see strength? The strength you gained by surviving them, by rising above them, by transforming in the face of them. The game you've been playing, it's not life itself. It's the system, the illusions, the chains that bound you. But now you see, you understand that you were never meant to follow the rule. You were meant to break them, bend them, and remake them in your own image. The struggle wasn't about keeping you down. It was about giving you the tools to break free, to reshape your world, to change the game. Now that you understand the truth, the game was never about survival. It was about realization. Realization that you have always been the one in control, even when you didn't feel like it. The power was always in your hand, but you've been too afraid to take it. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of the unknown. These fears held you back, made you believe that you couldn't take control of your own life. But now you realize that you were never a player. You were always the puppeteer. The truth is, you've been pulling the strings all along, even when you didn't see it. Every time you took a step, every time you tried, every time you failed and got back up, you were in control. You didn't know it then, but now you do. Your decisions shaped your reality. The moments you thought were beyond your power were actually the moments you were shaping. Think about it. You were the one making the moves all this time, but the game was never meant to be played by others' rules. The moment you stop playing by those rules, you become the master. Like a chess player who stops moving pieces according to the game's structure and begins reshaping the entire board. You have the power to change the direction of the game. You can rewrite the rules. Stop thinking you're just another player in someone else's game. You are the game. You are the one who dictates how it's played. The pieces, they follow your lead. The moves, they happen on your command. You don't just respond to life. You create life. Your destiny is yours to control. The concept of agency is yours to claim. You were never small. You were never weak. You were always the force that could change everything. The question was never about whether you had the ability. The question was whether you would finally step into your power, whether you would recognize the authority that has been yours from the start. When you realize you control the game, everything changes. The world doesn't control you anymore. The system doesn't dictate your future. You choose your path, and that's when the game truly begins. You can make the rule. You can break the rule. You can shift the entire game in your favor, and no one can stop you. It's time to embrace the truth. You are no longer a pawn. You're the player, the mastermind, the one who calls the shots. Take your power back. What are you afraid of? That question doesn't just seek an answer. It shakes you awake, forcing you to confront the lies you've been living by. For so long, you've allowed fear to be your guide. Fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of being seen as unworthy. But let's face it, those fears aren't real. They're nothing more than shadows on the wall, reflections of what others have told you, not the truth of who you are. Who told you that you can't? These words aren't just rhetorical. They're a call to arms. You've internalized these voices, your parents, your teachers, your friends, society. You've listened to them for years, believing that you were small, that you couldn't, that you weren't meant for more. But let me tell you this, those voices are not your truth. They're someone else's perception of you. They've been limiting you in ways you didn't even understand, and now it's time to cut those strings. Let's dissect the realities of your fears. Fear of failure. Failure is not defeat. It's the stepping stone to greatness. Fear of judgment. The judgment of others has no bearing on your worth. Their opinions are based on their own fears, not your truth. Fear of not being enough. That's the biggest lie of all. You are more than enough. Always have been, always will be. These fears, these doubts, they're just barriers. They're the walls you've built in your mind to protect yourself from disappointment. But here's the truth. Those walls were never real. They were built on nothing but illusion. Climbing out of the darkness is a metaphor for your journey. For so long, you've been stuck in a pit, looking up, feeling like the walls are closing in. But every step you take, every small victory you win, is you climbing out. You are breaking free from chains that were never meant to hold you. Imagine yourself standing tall, with every fear, every doubt, every moment of self-loathing falling away behind you. You're no longer a prisoner of your past, of your insecurities, of the voices that told you that you weren't worthy of greatness. You are free. You are powerful. The key to harnessing your power lies in your ability to embrace failure as a tool for growth. Stop seeing failure as the end. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is a part of it. Every time you fall, you learn. Every time you stumble, you gather wisdom. Every time you fail, you come one step closer to mastering the game. The greats didn't avoid failure. They embraced it, they learned from it, and they grew from it. They weren't born great. They became great by failing, by learning, and by continuing to push forward. Transformation doesn't happen overnight. It's a slow, painful, and sometimes brutal process, but it's also the most beautiful one. You've been shaped by your experiences, your struggles, your battle. Like an animal shedding its skin, you have outgrown the version of yourself that once believed in limitations. You've evolved. You are no longer the person who doubted their own potential. You are the person who rises every time they fall. You are like a sword being forged in fire, shaped by heat, honed by pressure, and made sharper with every challenge you face. Every moment of doubt you've faced has sculpted you into the person you are becoming, and that person is unstoppable. You are the master of your own transformation. The world can no longer define you. Your limitations are nothing more than illusions, and you have the power to shatter them. Your value is not defined by the opinions of others or the failures of your past. Your value is inherent. It has always been there, waiting for you to see it. Reaffirm your worth. You are not a pawn. You are a force that can change the world, a force that can reshape the game. You hold the power to create the life you've always dreamed of. The moment you realize your worth, your true power, is the moment the world will finally see the force that you truly are. In this decisive moment, everything changes. You are not the victim anymore. You are not the one controlled by circumstances, by fate, or by anyone else. You are the creator of your destiny. The game is yours to control, and you've been given the power to redefine it. The doubts, the fears, the oppressors, they are nothing more than mirages. They have no power over you. You've been in control all along. You've been waiting for the right moment to claim it. And that moment is now. This is the moment you take your power back. The moment you stop being a pawn and become the king or queen of your life. You have always had the power, but now you are ready to wield it. The world doesn't control you anymore. The doubts, the fears, the obstacles, they are irrelevant. You have transcended them. You are no longer a player in someone else's game. You are the architect of your own future, and there's no turning back. The game has changed. You have changed. Now you stand at the threshold of your future, and the power to shape your destiny is yours. Every decision you make now holds weight. There's no more passivity, no more waiting for the world to hand you opportunities. You are no longer a puppet controlled by external forces, by the whims of fate, or by circumstances you can't control. You control the strings now. Every choice you make from this moment forward is your own. The direction of your life is no longer determined by anyone but you. Picture yourself standing tall, looking out at the horizon. In your hands, you hold the reins of your life, steering it wherever you choose to go. The world no longer tells you where to go, what to do, or how to be. You are the one in charge, and the path before you is open and limitless. There are no more chains holding you down, no more walls confining your dreams. The possibilities are endless. Your future is a blank canvas, and you hold the paintbrush. Every decision you make now is a stroke on that canvas. Every choice you make adds color, depth, and meaning to the masterpiece of your life. Imagine the freedom that comes with that knowledge. You are no longer shackled by doubt. You are no longer afraid to make decisions because you know that each one is a step towards greatness. You are the architect of your reality, and nothing is out of reach. The future is wide open for you. No barriers, no limitations, just the endless possibilities of what you can create. Now that you've embraced the power of choice, it's time to master the game. Life will continue to throw challenges your way, but now you have the wisdom to navigate them. No longer are obstacles barriers to your success. They are opportunities for growth. With every challenge you face, you grow stronger, more resilient, and more powerful. What once seemed like a wall now looks like a door waiting to be opened. What once seemed like a dead end is now a detour to greater things. Think of life as a chess game. Every move, every decision is part of the strategy. But now you're not just playing the game, you're controlling it. You see the entire board. You understand the moves and counter-move. You've become the chess master. You don't just react to the game anymore. You dictate the game. Your strategy is clear. Your moves are deliberate. Every challenge is just another piece to move on your path to victory. Your resilience has been built through your struggle, your failure, your growth. You now see every challenge as an opportunity, not something to fear, but something to learn from. You've learned how to turn adversity into power. You're no longer intimidated by setbacks because you understand that each setback is just a setup for something greater. You are the master of your circumstances, and with every step, you gain more control over your life, your future, and your destiny. You've undergone a transformation, whether you realize it or not. You've evolved from someone who felt small, unsure of their worth, unsure of their power, into someone who is now unstoppable. This transformation isn't just internal, it's physical, mental, and emotional. You have shed the old skin of doubt and fear and emerged as the hero of your own story. The person you were is now a memory, an outdated version of yourself that no longer serves you. Your mind is sharper. Your focus is unwavering. You're no longer swayed by the opinions of others, nor are you bound by your own past mistakes. You've learned to embrace failure and use it as fuel to keep going. Mentally, you are unbreakable. Emotionally, you are resilient. You've built a foundation of inner strength that no external force can shake. Physically, you are stronger because you've learned to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders and still move forward. Your body has become a reflection of your willpower, the physical manifestation of the strength you've cultivated inside. Your energy is focused, your actions are deliberate, and your presence commands respect. You've gone from being a victim of your circumstances to being the victor. You've transcended every challenge that once seemed insurmountable. Now you embody the qualities of the hero: courage, strength, resilience, and empowerment. You've risen above the noise, above the doubt, and above the limitation. You are no longer the one waiting for something to happen. You are the one making things happen. The hero's journey is yours, and you're not just surviving, you're thriving. There's no turning back. You are no longer willing to accept mediocrity, complacency, or anything less than the extraordinary. You are unstoppable. The force that drives you is now invincible. You've awakened a power within you that cannot be quenched, a fire that cannot be extinguished. Every step you take is a step towards greatness. You stand tall, unmovable, on the battlefield of life, ready to claim your victory. You face challenges head-on with the determination to overcome, the courage to press forward, and the confidence to know that no obstacle can stop you. You are a force of nature, a storm of unstoppable power, and nothing will stand in your way. In this final rally, I challenge you to step into your power. Act with audacity. Don't hold back. Don't wait for permission. The world is yours to shape, and it's time to stop playing small. You've risen. You've transformed. You've become the unstoppable force you were always meant to be. Now it's time to claim your victory. The question isn't, can you do it? The question is, what are you going to do now that you know you're capable of anything? Step up and take what's yours. The game is yours to win. This is it, the moment you've been waiting for. You have journeyed from feeling small, invisible, and weak to realizing the full extent of your power. You have fought through doubts, broken free from the chains of fear, and come to understand something vital. You are not just another player in the game of life. No, you are the master of the game, the one who controls the entire board. Think back to when you felt powerless, when you believed the world had control over you. Now look at yourself. You have transformed. You have taken control of every aspect of your existence. The pieces that once moved you, you now move them. The obstacles that once seemed insurmountable, you now break through them with ease. You don't play by the rules anymore. You create them. The game has changed, not because life suddenly became easier, but because you change. You have become the force that shapes your future. You are the king or queen of this realm, and your power is undeniable. All the strength you need, all the wisdom you've gained, all the tools you've acquired, they're yours to command. This is the culmination of everything you've fought for, every battle, every setback, every moment of pain. It was all leading you here, to this moment of recognition. You're not just a participant in this game. You are the player, the strategist, the one who rewrites the rules, who reshapes the very structure of life itself. You control the entire board, and now you stand at the precipice of greatness. Poetic final words. The world doesn't see you coming. It never did. You were once a whisper in the wind, a shadow on the wall. But now you are the storm. You are the sun that rises, scattering the darkness. You are the unstoppable force that moves mountains, the tide that cannot be held back. The world will bend to your will, for you know now that the game was always yours to control. You've learned to wield your power with grace, to navigate life's complexities with the wisdom you've earned. The time for waiting is over. The time for action is now. No more excuses, no more hesitation. This is your moment. But let me be clear about one thing. This is just the beginning. You've learned how to control the game, how to harness your power, and how to rise above the noise. But now it's time to use that power. Now that you control the board, what will you do with it? This is the hero's journey, and you are the hero. Your past struggles, your battles, your pain. They were never meant to be the end of your story. They were meant to forge you, to shape you into someone capable of achieving greatness. But the journey doesn't stop here. The moment you realize your strength, the moment you take control of your life, that's when the real adventure begins. Every decision you make from this point forward is a step into the unknown. What will you create with your power? The world is your canvas, and you are the artist. The future is yours to shape, but you must act now. Will you step into the life you were meant to lead? Or will you shrink back into the shadows, allowing doubt to control you once again? This is your new beginning. The world is waiting for you to make your mark. No one can hold you back now. You are the one who decides how this story unfolds. Take the reins. Command your future. The question now is not whether you have the power. It's what you will do with it. The power to create, to build, to redefine your life is in your hand. The future is wide open, and you are the one who decides how it will unfold. Will you rise to the challenge? Will you seize your destiny? This is the challenge before you. You are the master of the game. The question is, what will you do with that power?